Hi, welcome to Creating with Crossley. Today we're going to create a name line design project. We're going to learn how to create box letters, which are really simple. And then we're going to use our simple lines that we've learned about, our horizontal, vertical, diagonal, zigzag, and curved, to create complex patterns. So these are some of the examples of ones that are finished. So let's get started. You're going to need a 6 by 12 sheet of paper, a pencil, a Sharpie, a ruler, and of course, a marker or some markers. You're also going to want to have some type of computer paper or scrap paper to work and play around on first. So first we have to learn how to do our lettering, and our lettering is going to be pretty evenly spaced out. I know that they overlap, that's because we want them to go from one edge all the way over because we're separating our page into halves. I even did the same thing with this one. Again, it's split into halves. So you want your letters to go all the way from top to bottom. The other thing that you will do is you do want them to touch. So they don't necessarily have to be all straight up and down. They can be kind of offset, so on and so forth. So to start off with this, we need to figure out how many letters you're using on your page. So say your name is Mackenzie. Maybe you go by Kenzie, or say your name is Valentina. Maybe you go by Valley. So if your name is really long, you probably want to find a shorter name if you have one, or you can use your initials. So for example, I could do mine as MJC, those kind of things. What you don't want to do is have, a really long name, because you kind of lose the, wow factor of your letters. So just think about that. And your page is 12 inches long, so you're going to have to do some division. So just keep that in mind also. So I'm going to just do my initials, which are MJC. And you're going to start off with block lettering. So we're just going to kind of practice some block lettering. So this is just my scrap paper, okay? So when you create block lettering, there's multiple ways to do it. Some people are really good at it. Some people struggle. It just depends on your skill set and what you already know. So what I like to teach is using like skeleton. I always call it the skeleton method. So you want to draw really lightly. So like, let's say I started off with an M, okay? So on this, you pretend that this is the skeleton, and then there's always, meat on the sides of the bones. So this is my skeleton bones. So I'm going to add my meat, and it just goes like this, and you're just going to add a little bit of space in between the lines like this. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side. So it's like you're creating the big M around its little skeleton. So this works with any letter. Say if you did the letter B, for example, you would just do the same thing. You would draw all the way around it, the same distance, and then you would draw on the inside also. And then when you're done and you have your letters drawn, what you do is you just go back and you erase the skeleton. That's why you draw that super, super light. And then you have like your block letters, like this. And then the same thing with the M. So this is the easiest way to draw block letters. Now there's multiple other kinds of methods, but this is the one I'm going to teach for today. So next you need to figure out how many letters you're going to be using and how to divide that into 12. So I'm actually going to not do my initials. I'm going to do another teacher at this school's name. Her last name is Manley. So it's Manley, and there are 6 letters. So 6 and 12 is 2 inches. So every letter is going to be 2 inches for me. So I'm going to take my paper, and I'm going to take, this is my 6 by 12 paper, and I'm going to take my ruler, and I'm going to measure every 2 inches. So just a real quick, when you're looking at a ruler, let's see if I can get real close. If you're looking with a ruler, it has the numbers. That really long line, that is your inch line. And then the long line in between your 2 numbers, that's your ½ inch. So this is like 1.5 inches, and so on and so forth. Just depending on what you're dividing by is what you're going to use for your measurements. I would say try to keep it as simple as you can, especially if you are beginning to learn how to use a ruler. So the end of my ruler is not 0, it's actually 0 at this line, so I'm going to line that up with the top. And I'm going to make sure it's good. And then I'm just going to make a really light mark at every 2 inches. So I'm just going to count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And then I'm going to slide this right on over to the other side, and I'm going to measure again. You don't want to turn your page or anything like that. You always want to measure from the same side down because paper is not always cut perfect. So again, I'm going to line it up with my 0 mark, and I'm going to mark at 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. And again, this is just a guide to know how big my letters need to be. Okay, I need my letter to at least be this big. What I don't want is like little tiny letters because then they won't be able to touch. And they're just kind of like I call it, fall down the page. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to do my skeleton letters. And I know I'm going to have a little bit above my M, so I'm just going to real lightly write my M. And it goes all the way down. See how it goes down? I'm going to go a little bit past it. And then I want my A. So I want my letters to touch and overlap. So I'm going to, when I draw the skeleton letter, I know it's going to be a little bit bigger, but I'm going to have them really close. My M-A. Then maybe my N goes like this. And they'll touch there. And then we'll do, this one's a little bit further down than I'd like. Man, L, and then my E, and then my lastly, my E needs to be a little bit bigger, and then go right between those lines. My Y is going to go way over here. So again, I have just, these are my skeleton letters, okay? And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to add my meat. So I'm going to go up, and I want to have this as evenly spaced as I can. Now again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're not robots. Okay, now if your letter goes off the page, that's okay. It's called breaking the plane, and that is perfectly fine. So here's my M, and then the same thing with my A on each side of it. I'm going to build my letters using the skeleton. And I'm going to repeat this for all of them. Let's see how these two overlap. I'm just going to pretend like that N is behind my A. And I can either have this pointy or flat. I'm going to keep it flat. I messed up that N right there. There we go. And then L. And I noticed like this looks a little strange, so I'm actually going to make that N a little shorter and then bring my L up a little bit. Now when you're working on your letters, you know, if they overlap like this, you just pick which one's in front and you just kind of quit drawing the other letter. So here's my block letters that go all the way across my page. And then next I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to Sharpie them. Now I'm not sharpening the skeleton because again, just like you don't see your skeleton, okay? It's just there, it's holding everything together. So I'm going to go back through and I'm going to Sharpie these lines. Now something really important to realize is that if you miss a line, say I'm tracing this and I miss, again, don't try to fix it, just ignore it and continue on. It's not a big deal. Nobody's going to notice. You'll just erase your mess up. Once Sharpied, you're going to go back and you're just going to erase all of your skeleton lines. Again, that's why we draw them really lightly first, okay? So I'm going to go through and I'm going to erase all of this. And I'm also going to erase these inch marks on the side because I'm done with those as well. All right. Once that's all erased, then you're going to pick some markers, okay? And you're going to color your letters. And let's say you want to sit there and figure out which kind you want. You can just kind of test some things on a side sheet of paper like this. Once you figure out what colors you like, you're just going to color the inside of your letters. Now there is a trick to coloring properly, so I'm going to show that real quick. I always like to teach what's called an inside outline, so I'm going to outline the inside of my letter like this and go all the way around. And then you're going to color in lines, so I'm just going to go straight up and down like this all the way across. Now you never want to change direction either, okay? And then I'm going to do mine in a pattern, so I'm going to go pink, teal, pink, teal, pink, teal. So then I would go down here, and I would do the next letter. Again, doing my inside outline, then I'm going to color in lines. And then you would continue coloring all of your letters. All right, once that's done, what you're gonna do next is you're going to add simple lines to make complex patterns. So you're just gonna use the lines that we've learned about before. So you're just going to learn lines of horizontal, vertical, diagonal, zigzag, and curved. You're just gonna use variations of these mixed together to create patterns. Okay, so a pattern is something that just repeats itself. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to make a pattern over the whole section. You want to have multiple sections of patterns, and that kind of all go together. So I'm going to start over here, and I'm just going to do, say, a curved line. And then I'm going to repeat this same curved line. Now notice, I'm not drawing in pencil. You're just going to go right on at it with a Sharpie. And if you make a mistake, it's okay. They're just happy mistakes. So here is just a curved line. Now I want to add something else to it to make it a more complex pattern. So I'm just going to add a zigzag line in between like this. And because it's a pattern, I need to do every other one. Like that. Then I'm going to move on and do something else. So down here, maybe I want to do, diagonal lines. So I'm going to draw a diagonal line here. And then to this diagonal line, maybe I want to add some circles or curved lines, I'm sorry. And what you want to do is you want to fill up one whole side first. All right, once you finish one side, then you move on to the next side. Again, always working from the top to the bottom. Another thing I wanted to mention is if you have a pattern and it stops, you need to continue to pretend like it goes all the way through, like this. And then so say I would add this line here, I would pretend like it goes behind the M. Like this. And you could even do a different pattern right here. When you're done, you should have a product that looks something similar to this. Remember to always work from the top to the bottom. Don't skip around because then it's hard to create all your designs together. And I also supplied all of you with one of these. This is just a pattern page. This just shows some different types of patterns. If you do choose to have anything that's colored in black, make sure that it looks balanced with the rest of your project. What you don't want to do is have one spot colored in, have different parts colored in black. You want to have multiple. So it really just depends on what you like and what works for you. So let me show that one more time. Like this one has little multiple areas that are a little bit darker. And the same thing with the concept with this one. There's multiple areas that are darker, not just one. Okay? So have fun with it. Be creative, enjoy, and I will hopefully see you next time.